And now you're asking for a man who's in the top 10% of men. You don't qualify for one.
I really just wanted some advice. I love your
I'm
stuff.
giving you advice, but you're not taking it. The advice is, ma'am, you're average looking at best.
Okay, I won't go through too much of this. This is a channel called the Body Language Guy. And the Body Language Guy brings up this basically the dating coach, Kevin Samuels. Is he legit or just another fake guru? And he's going to have problems with this guy. And I'm going to show you the problems I have with the Body Language Guy. For one thing, if this dating coach, he is legit, I mean, they're all gurus. And of course, being a dating guru, you're going to be wrong anyway about things. For example, let's see if we can get it here.
You know if you got a big...
He's talking about big dicks. Women don't give a shit about your big dick. They care about your status. Now we'll get to the Body Language Guy and see what he has to say.
A glitch, and notice some behavior patterns that will be useful to define his true intentions. By the end of this video, you'll have a much better perspective about how to judge Samuels, and at the same time, you will acquire 3 essential skills to analyze on the fly the profiles of similar personas. Welcome.
Body Language Guy, Kevin Samuels' purpose is the same as yours purpose, is to build status. They become notoriety and gain fame, right? And money. So, I mean, you don't need any body language training for this.
Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and I'm the Body Language Guy. I'd be really grateful if you take just 1 second to like this video, subscribe, and...
We don't need to hear this. We'll get to the problems that Body Language Guy has with Kevin Samuels here.
Or a hater, the topic of arrogance is going to come up. And just to be clear, Samuels has a point with this topic. Most of us, especially men, apologize too much. We are too afraid to hurt other people's feelings.
No, this is weird because up till now, I've always heard it's women are like this. But now the Body Language Guy is actually putting it on the guys, okay?
So a healthy dose of arrogance is always helpful. But there is a flaw in Samuel's arrogance, and to explain it, we must address the concept of high-value man. So we already defined the 3 stages of Samuel's
evolution. Before we go further, Body Language Guy, high-value man is simply a man with money and notoriety. I hate to tell you this, but if Samuel says that, he will be 100% right, because that's why the quote unquote nice guy is being hated now, because being a good person who's a nobody and broke is hated by society. Look, high value man is decided by the opposite sex. It's decided by the girls. And they look for guys with wealth and status. Do you understand that? So it has nothing to do with the man's inner self. And I don't see Samuels being actually arrogant here. From what I heard, he was being firm.
5 years, but we still need to be aware that after this average at best video, his channel views and following
exactly.
Exploded. And of course,
you notice by Language Guy that when Kevin Samuels rakes men over the coals, nobody cares. And when he starts bucking against women, all of a sudden everyone becomes interested. That should tell you a lot about the human psyche without even knowing anything about body language. Obviously, a man, roasting another man doesn't mean anything. People don't care about men. But when he roasts the ultra humans, the females, then it makes a difference.
Of course, everyone wanted to know which was the center of Samuel's premise. In this case, the archetype of a high-value man. And he's got a clearly defined list of 6 items. Earning more than $100,000 a year, earning that for 5 years in a row. Other high-value men recognize him as a peer. He's got a network with other high-value men. He's got LinkedIn level visibility. That means that you can be public about what you do and how you earn your money. And finally, be useful to others and to the group or community. But
he's right about everything about the last one. I mean, being useful isn't really necessary. The king of the land doesn't have to be useful. He just has to be king of the land. But everything else, he's got spot on. Notice that he's just saying gain status, make lots of money, be consistent with your money earning, make sure your income is continual, and of course network with other guys with money. So that's what it is. Even the second to last one, LinkedIn visibility, even the mafia who aren't like this will get the girls. So he could actually just have the top 4 body language guy.
I had a problem with this list, and one of the videos that detailed this description was the one called "Do High Value Men Deserve to Cheat?" And in that video he states that moral or ethics have nothing to do with the high value man. So
exactly. And how do we know this body language guy? Because Machiavelli wrote the book called The Prince, and he outlined what princes have to do to gain and maintain power. And there wasn't an ounce of morality in his writings, because Machiavelli was being honest about what men have to do to gain status, to be the top dogs.
according to Samuels, 2 high-value men of history could be Alfred Krupp and Stephen Duncan. They are perfect fits for this list. By the way, Krupp was the main provider of steel for the Nazis, and Duncan was the largest slaveholder in Mississippi.
And body language guy, did these guys not have women going after them? They probably did. The Stephen guy, was he not? He was probably married, right? I don't know about Crump, but I wouldn't be surprised. These guys have women after them because the women aren't interested in a man's inner self. That's not what attracts them. So your problem is that it's more the nice guy thing. You're saying, how come women don't like us nice guys? How come women always go for the thugs?
But morals and ethics has nothing to do with it, right? And we're getting close to the core of why half of the people despise Samuels and the other half loves him. One of the greatest problems of our time is that there's a huge misunderstanding between internal values and external manifestation. Let me use one comment on one of Samuels.
No one's confused body language guy. The external manifestation, is what the girls care about. No woman is interested in the inner mind of body language guy. So, I mean, they're not connected. They don't need to be connected.
Samuel's videos as an example. The channel Wealth Building Educator put out a very compelling list of what he thinks is a real high value man.
Okay, I want to get back to that. Sorry. Yeah, just want to. Okay. The Wealth Building Educator. Are you emotionally intelligent? What? Have a purpose or a goal? In other words, you have to be, just a minute, I got to think of the proper term. And ambitious. It just means ambitious. And ambition just means you're working towards status. Take care of themselves. Okay. Have a high self-esteem. Okay. Generate their own self-esteem. Okay, if you want the girls coming after you, you can't generate your own self-esteem. You've got to be accepted by them, and then they give you your self-esteem. You can't have it both ways. You're assertive, no power dynamics. That's just basically what Samuels is talking about. Are honest to their own value systems. I'm sorry, but if your value system is about morality, you're going to be bogged down in your chase to status. Amoral men gain status fast. Have a growth mindset. That's just the same as number 2. It's gain status. Growth just means gain status, gain money and notoriety. Take responsibility, that's not necessary. Because, you don't have to be responsible. You just have to gain status. So this guy, wealth builder educator, is talking about things that might gain you status. Some of them might gain you status. Whereas Kevin Samuels just said gain status. That's the important thing to know.
Put out a very compelling list of what he thinks is a real high-value man. He's got very solid points such as emotional intelligence, have a purpose, take care of themselves, being assertive, have a growth mindset, and take responsibility, none of which are mentioned by Samuels. But
yeah, because none of them are necessary, body language guy. None of those are necessary to gain status. So Samuels is correct, and you have a problem with him being correct because it demolishes your worldview.
even if you combine both lists, they will be lacking points such as spirituality, loyalty, and character, and many others. And
like I said about loyalty, what was it? Machiavelli talking about the prince. In order to become the top dog, you had to throw away loyalty. You only had to appear loyal until you got in top position, and then you did whatever you wanted. You stabbed guys in the back when you needed to. And spirituality, again, monks are notoriously single. And this is a dating coach, so spirituality has to be left out of it. Women don't flock to spiritualists unless they have status, like the Dalai Lama probably has women coming after him because he's famous. He has status as the Dalai Lama. All the other monks under the Dalai Lama are single men and have no one chasing them.
that's how we arrive at the fundamental flaw in this reasoning. We assume that we all have the same set of values to live by. But
it isn't a flaw, though, by language guy. Kevin Samuels has it right. You're the one who's flawed. You're the one who's chafing at the reality of what you have to do to get with the girls, and that is gain status.
that simply doesn't work that way. We all have different sets or combinations of values, and that's great. That's why there are doctors and teachers that just give their life for others, and there are people who put all their energy on wealth building, and others seek pleasure, and others are really spiritual. That's the beauty of humanity. Now,
but not all those are going to get the girl, are they? If you're a nobody, a guy who's a nobody, and you have no money, and you want to get with the girls, you have to leave spirituality and generosity behind. Do you understand that?
now I must acknowledge that Samuels has a point with his definition of a high-value man.
Of course he has a point. The fact that you're giving into his point shows me that you are sour grapes, because Samuel is holding a mirror up to human values. Men value women above spirituality and being good and generous and caring. And so they are going to have to throw away those things because the women value not yourself as a person. Women ditch their husbands as soon as he loses his job. It happens often enough. They don't care about the man.
It's a very practical definition. The man should be financially stable and not through shady means. Since Samuels is talking about dating and relationships and even marriage, it makes sense that he puts a lot of stress in this point. I'm not saying that being financially stable is all a man needs to bring to a relationship, but that stability, as defined by Samuels, usually is the result of other factors like work ethic, being consistent, keeping your emotions in check.
Dude, work ethic. If I won the lottery today and it was big, I could be a lazy bum and having girls come after me. So the work ethic doesn't mean anything. All the work ethic means is if you don't luck out in the money, you've got to work to get it. That's all it means.
Having a long-term vision and so forth. Well, hoping that you're not.
Why would you need a long-term vision? If women liked men for who they were, you wouldn't need a long-term vision. Hey, body language guy, do women need long-term visions for themselves? to get together with the guys? No, they don't. Do they? So obviously men are interested in women and women are interested in men.
Bateman. And this is a great example of how we should approach human behavior. It's like an iceberg where we can only see certain manifestations.
Okay, enough of that. Let's get up to the important stuff.
Passionate about him, make his haters hate him even more, and that creates an amplification of engagement. And you know that engagement is like crack for any social media platform. Half are insulting him, half are defending him, and if you don't know Samuels yet, then you're at least a bit curious.
Well, that's because, of course, some of the guys, they feel good to finally hear a guy speak out. And for him to say what he says means Samuel's saying that the girls don't care about you as a person. And some guys are relieved because it maps on with the reality they're living in. And the haters, of course, are people like you who don't like him pointing this out.
Now, I've noticed a pattern on Samuel's attacks, and it's that he sometimes despises women and men whose current relationship status or physical features don't fit the topic or even don't fit Samuel's standards. For example, a woman cannot talk about not getting dates if she's fat, or she cannot talk about long-term relationships.
If you remember, Samuel said to that woman that she's aiming for the top 10%. So, I mean, this tells you, body language guy, that women aren't interested in guys like you, the average guy. They're aiming for the top earners. And of course, he's telling them the brute honesty, say, if you're a top, in the top 10% of men, you have options. And if you're going to choose between an average looking woman who doesn't give a shit about your life or a good-looking woman who doesn't give a shit about your life, he's going to go good-looking every time. So he said something that was true.
If she's not having dates. And this is important because this is the kind of argument called ad hominem attack.
No, I'm sorry, you're wrong. These women, that woman he showed, she's not a bad-looking woman. She could have a guy in her life if she wants. It's just that she doesn't want average Joe like you. She doesn't date a guy on her level. She wants the top tier guy. And so Samuels is being legit. He is. He's saying, sorry, better looking women are going to, outmaneuver you. They're going to outcompete you. So he was just honest with this woman. That's not an ad hominem attack. And the same with the overweight women. Those overweight women can actually get boyfriends. It's just that they can't get the top guys who have options. And the top guy is going to choose a woman who's good looking, and that means slim as well.
Which means that you don't address the argument or the idea or the point of view of the person. You attack the person themselves. This is the kind of concepts that stress the importance of critical thinking when analyzing human behavior. And I'm going to invite Derek Jackson to give an example. You know that Derek Jackson cheated on his wife, and at the same time, he was advocating loyalty to his followers on Instagram. So we could...
Exactly. Because he probably got enough status that he could have a side chick. Right? He was married for that validation of the permanent wife, as permanent as wives are. And then he could have a side chick. And he knew that he had to throw his morals beside and be hypocritical. Yeah, that's how it works. The guys he was talking to are suckers.
Philosophical grounds, but in the end, it all boils down to values. We fall prey to bad advice because we haven't clearly defined the values that we want to live by.
Sorry, dude. It doesn't matter what you want to live by. If you want to get the girl, You have to throw away values that doesn't get you the girl, and you keep the values that do. Samuels was correct. He said, get the girl means you make money, and you make sure it's continual, and you network with other wealthy men to increase that money and make sure it keeps coming in. And that's why there's nothing else on this list. If you value something that the women don't value in yourself, then you're not going to get the girl. And so if you say, oh, that's important though, then you're wasting your time talking about Samuels, because he's a relationship guru, right?
Samuels has his chosen sets of values. Maybe you agree with some of them and don't agree with others, but that question is internal. And that's the problem with society. We don't take enough time to sit in silence and reflect about
This is
ourselves.
bullshit. I'm sorry. If people reflected and were honest, they would still be doing what they're doing, by language guy. Men would still look at women and say, they don't see us as human beings. They don't care about our humanity. They don't care that we're nice guys. They don't care that we're generous or involved in the community. They care about, do you have money or not? Are you known in social circles or not? That's what they care about. So for you to care about something else, you have to tell men that you got to throw away this desire to get with the girls. Are you ever going to say that? You value getting with the girls too much yourself, so you'll never say that.
And our own set of values. And that's how a person with a huge following can have influence, and not in a positive way. Ad hominem attacks are also used by covert manipulators. There are dozens of examples.
No, sorry, buddy, but he's actually gave the best advice. And your butt hurt over it.
The most important questions you can ask yourself when you're analyzing human behavior. No doubt he's looking to amplify his outrage, and he found out that being harsh to women live is his fastest way to do that. I don't.
Exactly. You just said it again, and I'll say it again. Why, language guy, don't you find it weird that the fastest growth is being nasty to women as opposed to men? Again, I'll tell it to you. Society doesn't care about men. So no one cares if you're nasty, if people are nasty to you as a man. But when people are nasty to women, then of course it means something. And these women come along and they like to argue with this guy. And men love it.
Opinion on this. But now you might be wondering, why do women keep calling to appear in his show? And there are a few psychological explanations for this.
Once he starts gaining status, these girls want to glob onto this guy because he's a man of status. He's doing exactly what he says he's doing. His advice is sound, obviously.
Yes, they could be looking for attention, looking for male validation, or they feel bored and lonely, they lack a father figure, or they just want the excitement of being live with Samuels, even if...
Exactly. They're attracted to his status. They're not lonely. And they're not looking for a father figure. And you're probably right, they're probably bored, and they see an uppity man who they see beneath them, and they're saying, wow, this uppity guy is telling us what to do, so we're going to go on and argue with him.
If it means bearing ridicule in front of thousands. Talk about synchronicity, but as I was researching this, the song Sweet Dreams popped off.
Okay, I don't know how much further we need to go with this guy. I'll take a look. Okay, Reyes, nothing else he says is of importance. So I just want to show everybody here again. I'll put this in in my playlist, Girls Go for Status, because this is what this guy has just told this guy, and it's working for him. He's admitting it's working for him, and he has a problem. Body language guy has a problem with Kevin Samuels because, like I said, It holds a mirror up to women's values and men's values. He wants to be valued as a person, and body language guy, you aren't. Men are not valued for their personhood. So that's it. And that's the end of this video.